Hi everyone, it's Robin with Buta Jardin Florist and Beautiful Flowers in Vancouver, Canada. I have a video tutorial for you today on how to make a faux greenery garland. And I'm calling it faux because it's not a real garland. It's not going to be attached to a piece of twine, and it's not going to be continuous when you pick it up, but it'll look continuous on the table. If you've seen our eucalyptus garland video, you know that there's a way to make it where you tie it onto a piece of twine, and that's the more common way to make a garland. However, the drawback to that is it's very labor intensive and time consuming, and you can also run into issues of storage if you live in a really hot climate. Ideally, you want to do all the work for a wedding for your flowers the day before, but the problem with a garland is keeping it fresh overnight. So what if that's an issue? You don't have the people to help you, you don't have the time, or you're worried about the garland not lasting through the night. This is one alternative to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover this table using greenery. The thing you need to keep in mind is if you do a garland like this, you want to keep this in mind even if you make a traditional garland, but especially if you're doing one with pieces that lie on the table, you want to choose bushy greens. And the reason for that is you're going to try to do this with as few pieces as possible because you're not really going to have the ability to tie things together. So something like Podocarpus is an excellent choice. If you've seen our video where we talk about it, you know that it's a really underrated green. It doesn't necessarily get used a lot in weddings, not like eucalyptus and dusty miller, but it's fantastic for garlands, whether you tie them to a piece of twine or you do it the way we do it today. What I like about them is they have a natural arc to the stem. So not only are they have a lot of leaves, which makes them bushy, but when you put them on the table, they sort of sit on top of the table, like they rise up a little. So this is a really good way to get a full looking look without necessarily using a lot of greens. So the way to do it is, this is one bunch, by the way, of Podocarpus. So what I've done is I've separated it into its smaller pieces. You don't necessarily have to cut this into smaller pieces. It kind of works if the length is like this as well, a bit of both. So all you do is you just start laying it down on the table. And the main thing you want to remember, just like with a tied one, is that you want to cover the end. So wherever one branch ends, you're gonna lay the other one on top and tuck it under so that someone looking at it can't tell that these are separate branches. It has to look like one continuous piece. So this is it comes together really fast. I mean, compare this to making the eucalyptus one that's tied to twine. I think I estimated like 10 minutes per foot for that. This is coming together super fast. If anything is sort of sticking out, you just trim it, because you do want to keep it down the middle of the table as much as possible. So we are still working with one bunch, and in terms of the coverage, this table is 5 foot long, so you could say we get about 5 feet from one bunch of greens. When you get to the very end, if you have stems that stick out, you can start putting the last little bits in the opposite direction just to cover the stems, like this. So you get sort of one long continuous green look with no ugly stems at the end. So out of one bunch of Podocarpus, we got 5 feet of coverage. This is a good, thick looking garland. It's a gorgeous size. What else do you need to know about this? Oh, okay. So this is, like I said, this is an alternative if you don't have the time or an ability to store a pre-made garland. So what you would do is you would assemble this on site the day of your wedding. There are 2 times that I really don't recommend this, because keep in mind that none of these pieces are attached to anything. They're all loose. So if you have an outdoor wedding with even the possibility of wind, I don't think this is a good idea, because you don't want pieces of your decor flying around. The other time you may not want to do this is if you have children at your wedding, just because you want to be sure that that this garland stays as one piece as much as possible, because again, you're going to get really messy decor otherwise. But if you have an indoor wedding, with not a lot of movement on the table, this can be an alternative to you. You can work in some vases here with flowers. You can tuck cut flowers and roses into here. It looks beautiful. It is one of the fastest ways to get a garland with the least amount of work. I hope I answered all your questions. If I didn't and you have any more questions about this kind of an idea, please drop me a line. Otherwise, I will see you next time.